Have you ever been on a call and got that creepy feeling that someone else might be listening in? It's not just something from spy movies. Phone call monitoring is real, and it happens more often than you think. Hey everyone, Ron from Certo here. So today we're diving into a question many of us worry about but rarely discuss openly. Is someone listening to your private phone calls? And if so, how can you stop it? By the end of this video, you'll be able to spot the telltale signs your calls are being monitored and know exactly what you can do to protect yourself. So, let's get started. And now, before we go into the steps to detect call monitoring, it's important to understand the different methods someone might use to listen in. There are actually several ways this can happen. Some are more sophisticated than others. Now, the most common method is through spy apps, which can get onto your phone in two main ways. First, someone with physical access to your device might install spyware directly. Consumer spy apps can be purchased online for as little as $30, and they require minimal technical knowledge to set up. Now, the second way is through phishing attacks, where hackers send deceptive messages that appear from a trusted source. These contain links that, when clicked, install spyware that can monitor your calls. What makes these attacks dangerous is they don't require physical access to your device, just one click on a malicious link. So a more sophisticated method involves what security experts call zero-day exploits. These are vulnerabilities in apps on your phone's operating system that even the manufacturers don't know about. For example, a few years ago, hackers discovered a vulnerability in WhatsApp that allowed them to listen to phone calls made through the app. And because WhatsApp wasn't even aware of the security flaw, they hadn't created a patch for it, giving hackers free rein to exploit it. Okay, next up are devices called IMSI catchers, sometimes known as stingrays. These are essentially fake cell towers that trick nearby phones into connecting to them instead of the real towers. When your phone connects to an IMSI catcher, the operator can intercept your calls and text messages before relaying them to the real network. Now, while these devices are primarily used by law enforcement agencies with legal authorization, they could potentially be used by sophisticated hackers if they have the right equipment and technical knowledge. And finally, monitoring can happen at the carrier level. You see, government agencies or law enforcement can request access to call data directly through mobile carriers through legal frameworks like warrants or court orders. This type of monitoring is typically reserved for serious criminal investigations and require proper legal authorization. However, it is worth being aware that this level of monitoring exists and is entirely invisible to the user. Alright, now that you know the various ways someone might listen to your calls, let's talk about how you can detect if this is happening to you. Unusual phone behavior is often the first sign of spyware. Watch for things like your battery running down faster than usual, unexpected spikes in your data usage, or your phone consistently getting hot or running slow. Now keep in mind that while these may be indicators of phone spying, they can also have innocent explanations. Your battery might be aging, a legitimate app could be using more data, or your phone might need an update. However, if you notice these issues alongside some of the other signs we'll discuss next, it significantly increases the likelihood that your calls are being monitored. Pay close attention during your calls. If you hear unusual sounds like static, echoing, clicking, or distant voices, it could indicate that someone is tapping your line. Now, this sign is traditionally associated with landline wiretapping, but it can apply to cell phones too. When spyware activates to record a call, it sometimes creates interference that manifests as background noise. So if you consistently hear unusual sounds during conversations, it might warrant further investigation. Now, one of the most direct ways to detect call monitoring is to thoroughly examine all apps installed on your device. You see, many spy apps will show up in your installed apps list, even if they're hidden from your home screen. So to see this list on iPhone, go to Settings, General, iPhone Storage. And on Android, go to Settings and Apps. Look for any apps you don't recognize or that seem suspicious. Pay particular attention to apps that have permission to access your microphone or phone calls. Now, the most effective way to detect spyware on your phone is to use a specialized security app designed to find hidden monitoring software. Certo's security apps for iPhone and Android can quickly scan your device and detect if someone has installed spyware to monitor your calls. The app will perform a deep scan of your device, looking for signs of monitoring that you might miss with a manual check. A thorough scan will reveal any hidden threats and help you remove them right away, giving you peace of mind about your privacy. I went ahead and put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Unfortunately, some forms of call interception, like IMSI catchers or carrier-level monitoring, are extremely, if not impossible, for the average person to detect. There are some specialized apps that claim to detect IMSI catchers, but in my experience, they aren't very effective. And if monitoring is happening at the carrier level through legal channels, there will be no signs on your device at all. In these cases, your best defense is prevention, and we'll cover that next. Now, let's go over some practical steps to protect your phone calls from unwanted surveillance and keep your conversations private. Okay, one of the simplest but most effective ways to protect your phone is to keep its software up to date. Software updates often include security patches that fix vulnerabilities that spyware might exploit. If your phone is already infected, updates can often disrupt or disable the spyware entirely. So regularly check for updates for both your operating system and your installed apps, especially messaging and calling apps. I also recommend enabling automatic updates if available. Physical access is the easiest way for someone to install spyware on your device, and that's why setting a strong password is crucial for your security. So avoid simple patterns or easily guessed numbers like birthdays, for instance. Instead, use a complex passcode that combines numbers, letters, and special characters. And better yet, use biometric protection like fingerprint or face recognition for an additional layer of security. And never share your passcode with anyone, and change it immediately if you suspect someone might know it. Now, when it comes to the apps you install, stick to official sources like Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store. You see, third-party app stores and direct downloads from websites are much more likely to contain spyware. These unofficial sources don't have the same rigorous security screening processes that official app stores maintain. And even within official stores, check app reviews before installing. And be cautious of apps that request excessive permissions, especially access to your microphone, calls, or messaging functions. Next up, consider using end-to-end encrypted messaging apps like Signal, WhatsApp, or Telegram for calls instead of your phone's standard calling function. End-to-end encryption scrambles your voice data so that only your device and the recipient's device can decode it. This means your calls remain completely private. No one in between, not even the app maker, can hear what you're saying. Now, this approach is particularly effective against carrier-level monitoring and IMSI catchers, as the content of your communication is encrypted before it ever leaves your device. Next, make it a habit to regularly scan your phone for threats with a security app like Certo to catch any spyware before it can do significant damage. A quick scan every week can give you ongoing peace of mind that your conversations remain private. This proactive approach is far better than waiting until you notice suspicious behavior. Alright, let's talk about jailbreaking. While jailbreaking an iPhone or rooting an Android device gives you more control over your phone, it also removes important security features that protect against malware. When you jailbreak or root your device, you bypass the security restrictions put in place by the manufacturer. This makes it much easier for malware to gain deep access to your system and hide from detection. If security is a priority for you, keep your phone's original security features intact by avoiding jailbreaking or rooting. For highly sensitive conversations where privacy is paramount, you might want to consider using a separate prepaid phone specifically for those calls. These burner phones are typically base models without internet connectivity, making them much harder to compromise with software. They're also not linked to your identity in the same way as your primary phone, adding another layer of privacy. This solution isn't practical for everyday use, but for specific situations where you need absolute privacy, it's an option worth considering. I know, the thought of someone listening to your private phone calls is unsettling. But by staying vigilant and following the protection steps we've covered today, you can significantly reduce the risk of being monitored. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more smartphone security tips. And, of course, if you have any questions about phone security or have experienced call monitoring yourself, let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay secure.